Hi guys, welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. I'm Liam, I'm here with Jack.
Hello.
And I've just played The Devil in Me. Jack is currently playing it. So essentially, just a little bit of background. I finished the game about 2 hours ago. Jack was away, but he's come back and he's just completed the first act. So you've got to the first Curator scene, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, completed the prologue, and then what's got to be the longest act of all time. Because I was like I was telling you before, I was waiting for your Curator scene to come up, and it just didn't come. And I was just like, oh my god, like this is such a long part. So like I'm really starting to see the length of this game already.
No, that's literally it, mate. It was a lengthy one. This is probably the longest DPA game we've had yet. But nonetheless, we're going to do our classic analysis, chapter by chapter, or act by act, rather. And today we'll be bringing you our analysis of the prologue. So the first thing, Jack, which you would have just had, is we start off with this really beautiful setting outside the hotel in 1893. And I don't know about you, this game, we almost described it like it was designed for you. It almost had that Saw-esque vibe to it, a bit of kind of classic, vintage style in there. What did you make of this whole look of the 1893 prologue, mate?
Oh, it was beautiful because let's face it, when you consider the DPA games so far, barring Little Hope, when you sort of travel back in time and see the witch segments, it's all been set in the modern day, isn't it? So to have this prologue where it was set in the past, and speaking for me personally, I do have like a mild fascination with the whole Victorian period, and even the way when it comes up, like how the camera was like swiftly moving through the, some decisions will save lives, some will bring about death, and you see like the dead rat in the middle of the street. I thought that was executed really well. And yeah, to touch back on the setting, I thought it was absolutely incredible, mate. And I think that's something we're going to be saying quite often throughout this series.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, DPA games, mate, we always see recurring faces. So our two prologue characters who was previously Judge Carver and Julia from Man and Medan. So really nice to see these guys again. We've got our two prologue protagonists, Jeff and Marie, I believe their names were.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just love everything about it, from them checking into the hotel room, spamming the bell button, and then we have our old, John, or Dar, if you will, recurring face, playing our main villain, Henry H. Holmes. Just absolutely fantastic. The whole eerie nature of his voice as well, about him talking about how he's going to upgrade you to the honeymoon suite. And I mean, as soon as we saw these characters, and like we do for any prologue character, we just darn well know, don't we, mate? It's not going to end well for the couple here.
Yeah, exactly. And to touch on something you said there about the guy who voiced Holmes, all of the things that he was saying were, of course, very nice. We're going to upgrade you, and we hope you have a lovely stay. But there is that sinister undertone to it, like it's quite dry. So I think that the voice actor did actually really well there to come across as Holmes. I don't know about you.
No, I agree, actually. And I think, it might be the strongest game yet, the voice acting, actually. I will praise it. I mean, just to hop along, we move into this section instantly where you go around the little lobby and you can buy an item.
Yeah.
Now, apparently the item you pick, mate, has a bit of relevance to what happens later on.
Ah, right.
So,
okay.
Did you pick anything? Did you pick the powder or the rose milk?
I didn't know what it was at the time, so all I've got in my notes here is I picked the left item. It looked like a tall bottle. The other one looked like it was fairly flat. So,
okay, so you've got the rose milk and I've got the powder. Okay, that's cool. We picked different ones, mate. That's interesting. I didn't know. In fact, I thought it was almost like a modern day business, because it just said, oh yeah, like is there anything you want to buy? And I just examined one item. I just looked at, oh, what's this? I picked up the powder. And then my thing said, the bearings was like, oh, you've purchased it. I was like, oh, I touched it, and apparently I own it now, and I've got to pay for it. I was like, that's a bit cheeky.
Oh, I was literally going to say, like, I naturally, because how the game wants you to sort of scan, I naturally moved to the left to almost go along with the game, and then I picked that up. So that's sort of my thinking there.
Oh, okay. And then obviously we go upstairs, and top quality banter by the husband and the wife, the newlyweds, as like he's clearly picked something from the jewelry item and he's not hiding it very well. We're kind of left with our first sort of choice, or our first sort of section really, where you break through to a private room. I don't know why. Now, if this was me personally, I'm a bit of a stickler for the rules. Especially if I'm in a hotel, I don't want to, they've just upgraded me to a honeymoon suite. Yeah. I don't want to be nosing around where I don't belong. And it's like we're breaking into a room just because it says private. I was a little bit like, I just would not do this.
Yes, completely agreed. Like, no one else is around. I understand that. But, like, come on. Like, the guy, as far as they know, has been very hospitable, upgraded them. Now you're going to go round and go beyond his back and start searching through the room. Like, I'm in agreement, mate.
I mean, I did it, and you know what? I'm playing at this point, and I'll tell you a little bit about why this happened. This whole prologue, I played on classic mouse and keyboard, playing it on my PC.
Yeah.
And I was not doing well. I think I've got a bit of a tacky, cheap mouse anyway. But when I had to barge through the door, I definitely failed that button mash. And it's funny because I failed it and I still got in. And a few instances happened in this prologue where it does forgive you, because I failed a lot of QTEs here and it just wouldn't me. So we break into this room, mate, and then Holmes comes in. Now we break out into our old classic Dark Picture Anthology mini games, the heartbeat sequence. Now, I've classically struggled with these sequences, mate. As you're aware, Man of Medan, I'm yet to see Junior survive, because I just can't get that, breathing machine. I can't do it, because I just can't do the heartbeat sequences. So, I was just wondering for yourself, mate, did you pass this section?
I did indeed. I think the only heartbeat section I've ever struggled with was on House of Ashes, when Nick's planting the bomb. And I said about the brightness, and I was like, I didn't really realise it was going to be a heartbeat sequence. But yeah, I thought it was okay. I mean, another thing I thought I'd raise as well, I don't know if it's got any significance whatsoever. It might just be a nice nod to the, sort of the real H.H. Holmes and his world and life. But it was called the Rathlin Suite. And I think from this segment as well, I was wondering, I wonder what would have happened if you failed. Like, would he just say, oh, what are you doing poking around in here? And then it would just naturally move on. So that'll be good when we go back and do future playthroughs.
Oh, you have to find out, mate, because I failed.
Oh, right. Right, go on then.
Yeah, mate. It's honestly, apparently on PC, you're supposed to hit right click. It just got past the first one. I hit left click and boom, I failed.
Right.
And even literally, it didn't bode well for me, because off the gate I just failed the button mash sequence to get through a door, and I failed the heartbeat sequence, and I just was like, I'm having a mare. Basically, Julia, that's the old model, right? Marie starts bursting out laughing.
Right.
She says, sorry, I can't help it. This is funny. And H.H. Holmes finds you hiding behind the clothes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he goes proper sinister, mate. He corners you. He's like, what are you doing in here? You shouldn't be in this room. And it's funny because he's instantly a different person from who you once met in the hotel lobby. It was really interesting to see. And he kind of just warns you. He's like, yeah, right, go off to your honeymoon suite now. And then you as the guy, you're just really apologetic. You're like, we're really sorry. It's unacceptable behavior. We'll be going off now. And not too much comes of it, but he definitely, he wasn't happy. For sure.
Okay.
Which probably explains a lot of my scenes later on, but yeah.
Does he then show them into the room, or do they go to the room themselves?
I think I can't remember. I think he shows you towards the room. You definitely go in there yourselves.
Oh right, okay. Because for me, like when I'd completed the sequence, went outside, and then wandered around the corner, he was then just stood there waiting for me, and then he showed us into the room.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Oh,
obviously,
interesting.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, essentially afterwards, you kind of like go into this room, and you're there with your new husband, and I guess the first thing that happens is a pillow fight, right?
Yes.
Now, yeah, I mean, how did the pillow fight go for you, mate? Did you win?
Nailed it. Yeah, I mean, I was expecting you to say that you would have nailed it as well, but given your difficulty with QTE so far, did you win it?
Well, it's fine detective skills, mate, because now I failed it. I struggled so much with mouse and keyboard, man. It was like, I know I got one hit, and then they hit me, and then on the third and final one, I swear to God I won it, but apparently I didn't. And you know what? It was at this point, mate, I was thinking, if I can't win a fucking pillow fight, how am I going to survive a murder hotel?
Oh dear. If you're going to get mistakes in the game, though, you're better to do it now, aren't you?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I remember in Until Dawn, I failed the don't move sequences hard when I was, like, aiming the flashlight at Josh's boiler. And, the worst that happens is you get a bit of grilling, and so I'll hold it properly. Rather fail then and learn how to do it than later on where you actually might kill someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a moment where I did, switch to controller pretty swiftly afterwards. But yeah, I failed here. Not much really comes of it. It's just the husband gets all smirky, like, "Ha, right, win," and then that scene passes. He proceeds to put the jewelry on, and then I guess the next significant scene is where Maria will go for a bath.
Yep.
And you have to leave to find a shaving kit.
Yep.
And I think, as Jeff, you kind of go away, and I'm pretty sure he mentioned something along the lines of, I swear we came from this way. And I think he kind of insists that the hallways might have changed.
Yeah.
Now, we knew from the trailers that this would be a common thing. This is a classic H.H. Holmes trope where he was able to architect his own walls to move and slide and stuff, which is just fascinating itself. But we could tell, it was at this point really where you're like, yeah, this is not going to end well for these honeymooners, basically. But yeah, it skips over to Maria, who's having a bath. Now, the first choice is that you see these shoes, underneath like the kind of curtain or whatever, and you think someone's in there. Did you choose to relax or investigate?
I chose to investigate, but I had something happen before this, mate. So I don't know if do you want me to share it? It might have happened to you as well.
Oh, actually, I think I know what you mean. I have skipped a bit, but yeah, I'll let you take the lead here, mate.
All right. Well, yeah. So, like, in terms of that situation, I did investigate. In the previous instance with Jeff, I was like forensically looking around the corridors when I really didn't need to. And then you get to a door, don't you? And it then brings about a trapdoor beneath you, and there's a QTE. And I've got to admit, it did take me by surprise. I did pass it. It was literally simply like tap A or something. And there was a floor of spikes beneath, so I was thinking, nice. Like, I've just saved him. I know probably wouldn't have saved him for long, but... and then, of course, yeah, it comes back to this scene with Marie in the bath. And I chose to investigate because I did think it was going to be Jeff. Genuinely, I thought he was going to try and sneak in, because of all the fun they were having before, a little bit of banter. He was going to try and sneak in while she's having a bath. So when actually she then pulled the guard thing back, H.H. Holmes was there in his apron, kitted out. I was thinking, oh shit, it did take me by surprise. But what about you, mate? What did you do there?
I investigated as well. I just thought if I relax, because I thought it would be H.H. Holmes, so I was like, yeah, you know what? If I relax here, he could probably slit my throat in the bath or something. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to investigate as well. Now, I didn't realize at this point, but while he's there attacking you, because this, unfortunately, is the end of Maria's fate here, that you can either use the rose bottle or the powder as a weapon.
Right.
And this is where the new inventory feature comes in handy, and I'll talk more about it later. One early criticism I will say though is that I don't know if it's implemented the best, or it doesn't necessarily indicate it heavily enough that that's how you can do it, because I looked on my recap and I looked at my gameplay afterwards. The option was there to throw the powder in his face, but I didn't see it. So yeah, H.H. Holmes just sort of slashed at me, and that was it. But I know you can, you know, in your case, smash a bottle on his face. I don't know if you did that or not, mate.
It seemed to do it automatically for me. I don't know if that means I've missed something, but it seemed like it was a cutscene. Like, it seemed like I couldn't do anything. But after, when he came in, I don't know if he then swiped at me, and then I managed to get the bottle and whack him round the face. But then he proceeded to carry on stabbing me even more. But no, I don't remember anything about character inventory thing coming up at all.
Okay, well, to be I might have got a slight detail wrong there, but I know that there's various endings, not only based on whether you bought the rose milk or the powder, but also based off of whether you investigate or relax. I know that apparently if you relax, these hands start massaging you and you think it's Jeff, and then he starts getting more aggressive, and then it's H.H. Holmes, and then he like slashes at you in the bathtub.
Ooh.
Yeah, so like there's various ways Maria can die here, but regardless though, that it doesn't end well for her. Whether you got to use a weapon or not, she will start dying regardless, or at least be, in my case, she was bleeding out in the bathtub. I think there's different ways she can die here. But I found the next bit quite funny, because Jeff clearly comes back, and then he opens the door, and then H.H. Holmes is there like, is there a problem here? And it's like, well, yeah, mate. It's like, you slit my like wife to death, to be honest, mate. There is a problem.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. It then obviously culminates. Actually, you know what? Before I quickly go into the next bit, it's a nice little bit of misdirection. I don't know if have you heard of this TV show? It's fairly popular in the UK, but it's called Jonathan Creek.
You know what? I've not seen it, but I was discussing with a mate earlier, and he said it's very Jonathan Creek. I've never seen what that is, but someone has made a comment about that. So there you go, mate.
Oh, that's bang interesting, because when Marie got into the bathtub, there's this episode of Jonathan Creek where as soon as she gets into the bath and it's like full of water, the bath then tips with like, there's this sort of mechanism underneath, and then the person in the bathtub then falls in this like room that's full of water that you can't get out, and then the bath then slowly goes back up into position, like they can drown basically. And I was expecting that to happen, so that's why another reason why I didn't think it was going to be H.H. Holmes, you know, like the brown shoes under the guard. Yeah, that's so interesting that someone else brought that up to you. But yeah.
Yeah, my mate Callum did. We've been speaking about it today. He's been watching my playthroughs, which, little plug, are on YouTube. Here they are. Here are the links. They'll be in the description. Watch what I did in the prologue, which I'm going to use the same footage anyway, so you've already kind of seen it. But if you want the actual kind of the voiceovers and stuff, I recommend checking it out. But anyway, yeah, so like Jeff, for me, ran into a gas room. I think different things can happen, but he had to watch Marie die, and, you know, I think H.H. Holmes sadistically really liked watching couples, you know, see the life drained out of them, right? Like, really sadistic. So, you know, I had that ending, and then Jeff dies in the gas thing, and then the whole chapter kind of concludes with him placing their engagement ring or marriage ring or whatever in that jewelry stash that you saw earlier in the lobby. So, and then there's these new honeymooners almost, or a new couple. And it's almost like the cycle continues.
Yes.
Just very interesting. And yeah, like we'll probably make a separate video on where we rank the prologues, but I have a feeling that this one might end up one of the higher ones, but I don't know if that's just me talking about it in such high regard because I've just completed it. And maybe I need time to process it more to really kind of analyze how it does rank versus the other ones. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of at the end of the prologue here. Any other comments, and just what is your general opinion, mate, of this prologue?
I really like it. I think ultimately when we do a prologue ranking video, I think for me it's between this one and Little Hope. I remember playing the Little Hope one and was like genuinely shocked that it culminated in a house fire. But I won't go any more into that because we'll do that when we actually do the video. But yeah, got an achievement as well. Very happy when it comes. I think it was like Until Death Do Us Part 2 it was called. And it's basically them watching each other die. And then, yeah, mate, you then get another one for completing the prologue, and then it rolls on to the cinematic sequence with the Curator.
Yeah, and you know what? I say it in my gameplay. I was in two minds when this came up. One was, oh my god, how am I going to survive the game? I've had a howler for the prologue. I just can't play the game. But the second thing I thought was, oh my god, I've missed this, because House of Ashes what came out when we kind of started the channel, right, over a year ago now. It was like last October, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we've been starved of DPA for 13 months, to be honest. So it's been a while since I've heard this like rock cover of Oh Death, and when, you know, the Curator rocks up again, it was just really nice to hear his voice, like a familiar voice again. And you know, we'll mention more about it later on when we finish the game in the final analysis part. However, you know, we mentioned the Curator was kind of underwhelming in House of Ashes. So one thought I did have at this point is I'm hoping they do something with the Curator, and I'm hoping he's got a bigger part to play
100%
in this game. I don't know if you were thinking the same thoughts, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, talking about this cinematic intro, what I found, because this is what I've been doing while I've been note-taking playing this game, you couldn't pause it. So I'll just say the things that I've noticed, and this is obviously in reference to potential future games, but saw there was a lot of creepy women, there was some crosses, there was a barking dog, there was a carousel, like, you know, in like the pictures that he walks past in a corridor. And I was thinking about the barking dog, and I was like, oh, could that be like somehow, you know, an animal related one? Could it be that it has rabies and that's how like the zombie thing happens in Winterfold? I don't know, but there were some little pointers there that I spotted. How relevant they are down the line, we'll see. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but Pip Torrens finally has an acknowledgement in the opening titles. I don't remember seeing that before in any of the other games, but like I say, do correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I did definitely see Pip Torrens' name. I didn't realise he didn't show up in the other ones, but if that's the case, that is interesting. And that is very eagle-eyed. I didn't notice that about the dog and the carousel and the woman. So yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I'm going to probably do another bit of digging, especially when I edit this video and I go through that intro again. One of the quotes that he said, mate, afterwards that really stuck out to me was, it's good to see you again. It feels like forever since I've been on my own. What good stories are without having someone to share them with. Now, I don't know, like, that kind of stuck out to me a little bit, because we always wonder about the Curator, who he is, what his purpose is, why he's holding all these stories. Like, is he even a human? Is he real? And I kind of looked at that. I was like, is this guy just been on his own for, like, eternities, basically, just, like, with all these stories? I don't know if you thought the same, or if you had any other quotes, mate, which stuck out to you.
Yeah, so there is that. I'm still trying to piece together in terms of what it could refer to or its significance, but it did resonate with me, I've got to say. And I'm pretty sure in this one as well, he mentioned about the rules that he can't interfere. He's there to merely observe. And then, of course, another couple of things I spotted was that as he walked by, like a crow feather sort of fell off him. So I don't know if that confirms that he can just sort of turn into a crow. Of course, he mentions the obols, which we can talk about in a sec, but he also says the game is afoot. And for me, that just reminds me of Sherlock Holmes for some reason. So I don't know if that's like a little nod to the fact that this is going to be more detective based. Obviously, H.H. Holmes, Sherlock Holmes, same surname. I don't know if that's just a coincidence or not. But yeah, like, it will be good to see how he fits into this plot going forward, I guess.
No, of course. I mean, to be honest, mate, the last bullet point I had was on the obols. Now, I'll probably speak more about them later on as I, you know, ended up finding them throughout my game. But yeah, really interesting. At the first, right, I thought this is like kind of like the quarry, where we're going to have to kind of earn them in the game and exchange them to him to get clues. Or maybe premonitions kind of thing. I was madly wrong. This is not the case. It's a bit unclear what the obols are for at the moment. I did read in a wiki post that they will play effect in later games because the curator collects them. So it might be going at season 2 onwards, we will be collecting these obols, and then, you know, like, they'll have a role to play in the bigger picture, in the grand scheme of things. But, you know, I'm all for it. You know, it's another layer to the game. It's another collectible. We'll also have, you know, like, these DMAT business cards and, like, you know, your classic clues and premonitions we get throughout. But it's just another collectible, and it's just another thing you can compare at the end. I don't think it kind of over decorates the game in any sense. I'm all for it. You know, these games are getting bigger and better, and this is just another welcome feature for me, mate.
Yeah, no, I thought as well that it was going to be some sort of currency for clues and stuff like that. In terms of, like, if it's useful for games going forward, opens up some questions then. Does that mean that we have to leave the Devil in Me installed on our console so that it can then remember the amount of obols that you've collected? Because if so, like, I don't know how I feel about that. I might have to sort of stew on it for a little while. But yeah, we'll just have to see what they bring, I guess.
All right, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, guys, for you know, listening to our analysis of the prologue. Let us know what you thought of it. Let us know what you did as the honeymooners, and let us know if you have any theories about the curator. Yeah, so join us in the next one where we'll look at the first part of the first act of our 5 new characters as they set aboard the island. It's been a pleasure, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Catch you later, guys.
Welcome to the World's Fair Hotel.